Thought you told me you didn't have any guns in there. You said all you had is knives. You're a damn convicted felon, Donald.
I never answered that.
No, not you, you don't.
I know.
How does it break open?
On the 1st of August 2021, a welfare check at a Dollar General in Valdosta, Georgia, ended with Donald Patrick Parr, sentenced to 19 years and 7 months in federal prison. There is no parole in the federal system. The sentence was not about what happened that day. It was about who the law said he already was. The first issue is the legal character of the initial contact. A welfare check begins as a consensual encounter. Under Florida versus Bostick, 1991, a person is not seized within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment unless a reasonable person in their position would not feel free to leave. At the moment of first approach before the warrant return, the subject was free to disengage. The encounter changed character the instant the Texas warrant confirmed. At that point, the officer had probable cause for a full custodial arrest under Illinois versus Gates, 1983, independent of anything found afterward. The second issue is the frisk. The subject repeatedly evaded the gun question without invoking his right to remain silent. Under Terry versus Ohio, 1968, an officer may conduct a pat-down when there is reasonable, articulable suspicion the subject may be armed and dangerous. Evasiveness, about weapon possession, from a subject with a known prior criminal history satisfies that threshold. The frisk was constitutionally supported before a single item was found.
How are you? How are you, man?
Thank you.
What you got going on? They're concerned about you because you're out here, kind of been out here a while, sleeping in the parking lot.
16-7. Drive, I was waiting for...
Wait. Hold on 1 second, sir. I'm sorry.
You clear for 21?
Yeah, a friend of mine
Not at the moment.
drove in my car too.
I'm sorry, sir. Say that again.
A lady friend of mine drove here and stuff.
Go ahead.
She should be back.
28 turning on south.
Who's your lady friend?
Gina?
Miss who?
Gina?
Gina.
Not good friend last night. McCann?
I got you. And are you under the influence? You seem like you're out there right now. What have you been taking? Just because I don't want, I'm just in it, and understand that I don't, if you have, you have. If something happens, I want to know what I need to do. I can tell you've taken something, and that's okay. If something happens, I just need to know how to help you.
I'm fine.
Go ahead.
You got ID on you?
Sale from 35. He's still at 604 by Dougal.
Can I have it, please?
9935.
There's no guns or anything in the truck, is there?
I'm fine, sir.
I'm sorry?
I'm fine, sir.
I believe it. Is there any guns or anything in there? What's your name? Well, you're not answering my gun question, and it's kind of making me a little angry. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
You got any weapons in the car?
I carry a knife, sir.
I see you got the knife over there. Man, Donald Parr. F7, 29 check, name, date of birth. And I ain't seen you in years.
That's a long time, sir.
Last name is Parr, Paul Adam Robert First is Donald, 11/12/1955.
12.
What kind of pills you on tonight? I know that was your thing of choice before, especially if you're hanging out with Gina. Anything illegal in the truck? I'm sorry?
No, sir.
No. You mind if I check?
Yes.
I got you.
The third issue is the vehicle search. Methamphetamine found on the subject's person during the frisk provided probable cause to search the vehicle under the automobile exception. Carroll versus United States, 1,925, and California versus Acevedo, 1,991. A second independent basis existed under search incident to arrest, per Kimmel versus California and New York versus Belton. The vehicle search was lawful under either doctrine standing alone. Both applied simultaneously. The fourth issue is 18 U.S.C. Section 922 1 felon in possession of a firearm. The statute prohibits any person convicted of a crime punishable by more than 1 year from possessing any firearm. Caliber is irrelevant. Whether the gun was loaded is irrelevant. Whether it was used in any crime is irrelevant. Possession alone, actual or constructive, is the entire offense. The .22 revolver was unloaded and small. Under the statute, none of that matters. The fifth issue is the digital scale. Under 21 U.S.C. Section 841, possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute is a separate and more serious charge than simple possession. A digital scale is recognized by federal courts as a distribution indicator. It measures product for sale, not personal consumption. The officer identified this immediately. Now we're going with intent. The scale converted a personal use inference into a distribution charge and triggered the critical sentencing enhancement. The sixth and controlling issue is the sentencing framework. Under U.S. Sentencing Guidelines, Section 2, K2, 1A, a defendant with 2 or more prior felony convictions for controlled substance offenses receives a substantially elevated base offense level. Section 2, K2, 1B6B adds a mandatory 4-level increase when the firearm was possessed in connection with another felony here. The drug offense. Under Section 4A1. 1. Prior convictions for drug distribution, threats, and aggravated fleeing placed Parr in a high criminal history category. The intersection of those two axes produced a guidelines range of 188 to 235 months. He received 235. Under United States versus Booker, 2005, federal sentencing guidelines are advisory. Judges must calculate and consider them, but may depart. Judge Sands imposed the top of the guidelines range, not a departure above it. The 19-year sentence is the guidelines working as designed. Prior convictions may be used to enhance a federal sentence without a jury finding, per Almendarez-Torres versus United States. 1998. The criminal history that drove this sentence was established by prior convictions, not by anything that happened on August 1st.
K4, can you be en route?
70 seconds.
I got you. Well, it doesn't mean you were doing something wrong. The store is concerned about you because you've been out here for over an hour and sleeping and waking up and sleeping and waking up. And I can tell you're obviously on something. And then knowing you from before, I mean, I don't know how many times I've arrested you in the past. Go ahead.
Should be a white male, last 45106, election position.
Patrick, that's going to be him. Here, step out, Donald.
Lowndes F39, you demo. Lowndes F39. Okay, no problem.
When you step out, I want you to turn around and face the truck, okay?
You know I've got a bad back and bad feet, sir.
Okay.
Can I put these back on my back pocket?
Just set it right on the seat for now. take all these knives off you, okay? You got warrants out of Texas. You where you had that?
No, sir.
Carry a lot of knives on you.
I'm a Boy Scout.
You were a Boy Scout, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. I ain't seen you in years.
No, that's all.
Nothing's gonna poke me or stick me right
No,
now.
sir.
Does that just change?
Yes, sir.
No, you got something in this little pocket here. What's this? Pills? Or is that meth? Is it crystal?
That's five things.
You can put your hands behind your back for me, Donald.
Let's turn around.
That's, can you put your hands behind your back? Or is it just for...
Huh? Not very easily,
Okay,
sir.
okay. We'll do it up front. Alright.
Come on, man. Come on, sir.
Well, you got warrants out of Texas, so there ain't nothing I can do about that.
And you gonna make me go to fucking jail for
Well, look, Texas is willing to come get you, so I don't even know what it's for. What's your warrant for out of Texas?
It's a damn misdemeanor.
They ain't gonna come get you for a misdemeanor. I can tell you that right now. Let me see your keys. I'm gonna put them right on the seat, okay?
What's your name again?
Glassner?
Glasses.
You said there ain't nothing that's gonna poke me or stick me, right? Because I...
That's what I'm aware of, sir.
Okay. Here, slide in there real quick for me.
Hey, Jake, you gonna arrest me, put me fucking valve.
Charlie 13, tonight.
Just be careful getting in.
Can I just get coherent?
Yeah. We'll slide in. I'll roll the window down for you. We'll slide all the way in, because I gotta close the door, because I gotta finish checking your truck.
Man,
I'll roll this down for you.
man. Come on, man.
Like I said, you got a Texas or a warrant out of Texas. There ain't nothing I can do about it.
Can we just leave it at that, man?
Huh?
Can we just leave it at that?
Well, what else you got? Well, let me see what else we got, and then I'll determine. Okay. All right. You've never ever given me a problem, Donald. All right. And you're not giving me a problem today.
I'm not gonna give you no trouble, man.
Well, let me close this door. I'll roll this window down. That's a big old crystal right there, Donald. That's a big old piece of rock right there. Putting your ID and you gave me your social security card. I'm putting it back in your wallet, okay? Thought you told me you didn't have any guns in there.
You say I did.
You said all you had is knives. You're a damn convicted felon, Donald.
I never answered that. Man, that's like the only better arm.
No, not you, you don't.
I know.
How does it break open? Uh-huh.
On the left, on the front there,
Yep.
pull it out.
Okay.
Pull it out and then pull it back. Then you gotta pull the,
Okay, I got it. Thank you. This little 22. Where'd you get this from? Huh? Huh? Bought down the street. 29 check on a 32. Adam Golf 11352. It's a 22 caliber. I'm not sure of the make. H&R model 930. I ain't seen Donald Parr in years.
Is that who that is?
Yeah. Yeah, this is the same style truck as he used to drive.
Selling weed now?
We got meth, weed.
Do you really?
Yeah. I don't know if that gun's gonna be stolen or not. I said he bought it off the street.
Ooh, a rifle?
Pistol.
H&R? Old as hell, isn't it?
Looks old. It's up here. It's unloaded.
All right, 13.
Well, and here's the scale. So now we're going with intent.
Eagle run.
I haven't even made it past this side of the vehicle yet. He's always been the one that's got a bunch of crap.
The responding officer receives an A-. The welfare check approach was tactically intelligent and legally sound rapport building. Before warrant check, correct identification of the Terry Frisk threshold from the subject's evasiveness, proper sequencing of removal before vehicle search. The investigation was legally airtight at every step. Deduction for candid bodycam commentary about the subject's prior history accurate, but prosecutors prefer objective statements on camera that will appear in trial transcripts. Donald Parr receives a C-. He did not resist, did not flee, and did not escalate the encounter physically. Those are genuine positives. The C- reflects 3 decisions. A false denial of firearm possession that creates a consciousness of guilt inference. Failure to invoke his Fifth Amendment right to silence when evasion was clearly insufficient. And a prior criminal record that placed him at the highest sentencing intersection the guidelines produce. He was cooperative in manner and catastrophically exposed in law. 3 takeaways. First, a welfare check is a consensual encounter until it is not. The moment a warrant return establishes probable cause, the legal character of the contact transforms entirely. Officers do not need a new justification to arrest, the warrant supplies it. Everything found after that moment is legally downstream of a lawful arrest and is fully admissible. Second, a false denial is worse than silence. The Fifth Amendment right to remain silent was available to this subject from the first question. Evasion without invocation creates a consciousness of guilt inference. Silence creates nothing. Under Bergwis v. Tompkins, 2010, that right must be unambiguously invoked, but once invoked, questioning must stop. The subject never invoked it. His non-answers became evidence. Third, in the federal system, the offense of conviction is the starting point, not the ending point. Prior criminal history is mathematically incorporated into the sentence through the guidelines. A person with Parr's record, who possesses any firearm, regardless of size, caliber, or intent, faces a sentence calculated not from what happened today, but from everything that happened before. That is not a flaw in the system. It is the design of it. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to check out our second channel, Street Bodycam, for even more police interaction and courtroom content.